Next topic is Java array. So here we are going to learn the concept of an array, and we are going to see how we can declare array type variable, and then we are going to see how we can create an array object instance, instantiation of array object. So declaration and instantiation of array objects are two different things. Okay. Accessing array element within an array object. So array is basically is an array. So you can certainly access an element or an item within that array using an index. We'll see how we can get the length of an array, and we are going to see multi-dimensional array, how we can make a multi-dimensional array. Okay, so what is an array? So suppose if you have multiple variables of the same type, like in this case, the same type of int. If you're not using array, you are going to declare these the variables like int number 1, int number 2, int number 3, and things like that. And it could be pretty tedious, especially if you have a lot larger number of variables of the same type. Suppose you're talking about 10,000 variables with the same type. So declaring them 10,000 times is not gonna be efficient way of actually doing things. That's the time that you want to use array. So the way you can actually declare an array is that you give the name of so basically let me actually explain that later on how we can declare. So in Java and pretty much all the other programming languages, there is a feature for creating an array. It's basically multiple items of the same type. Okay, so you can actually have an array. In this case, we have an array of the 3 integer values, for example. And this is in index. So first one is index of 0, and the second one is index 1, and third one is index 2. Okay, so this is kind of number array in a sense. So how you can declare an array? So in order to declare an array of some type, you're going to specify the type of it, and then you use this bracket, square bracket, and ages. So you're basically declaring a variable called ages, which is pointing to int array. Okay, you can use it. You can use either this notation or this notation. Okay, but the first notation is probably more popular. Okay. Okay, so that's the declaration of the variable. So only thing you do here is that you are just declaring a variable called ages1. Okay, but this is not really initialized with any int array objects. This is just a declaration of the variable of a type. So it's the same thing as same thing of like in our previous case, you have a declaration of the variable called like int xyz or something like that. Xyz is just a declaration of int type a variable, right? So the value has not been set. So same deal here. So we have ages as a variable whose type happen to be int of int array. Okay, but the actually object is not really assigned anything. So that is the declaration. So now we are going to see how we can instantiate an array object. So array object instantiation. So after declaration of array type variable, we can create an array object instance, and then you can also specify the length with a constructor statement. Okay. In Java, object instantiation means it's creating an object. So array is basically, in fact, an object. Okay. And the constructor is basically a special method. When object gets created, there's a special method gets executed. We're going to talk about these concepts in a bit more detail later on. Okay, so if you don't understand these two concepts for now, don't worry about it that much. Okay, so I just want to show you how you can create an array. So here you're going to use a new keywords. So in Java, in order to create an object, you are going to use new keyword like this. So basically what I'm saying is that I'm creating int array of size of 100, and then that object will be assigned to ages variable. Okay, these two statements can be a single statement like this. You create an int array of size of 100, and then you're assigning to ages variable. So that is the declaration of the variable, and then this is the instantiation. This red colored code is instantiation of array object. Make sense? Okay. So if you take a look at the in-memory representation of this, basically ages is a variable whose type happen to be array object. So when you declare ages, so if you do just this, basically you are just creating this variable in memory whose type happen to be array, okay? But it's not pointing anything yet until you are assigning this array instantiated object to the variable. So now once this is done, basically this is a creation of array of 100, then age is pointing to this guy. Does this make sense? Any question? Okay. Now you can also use this notation if you want to initialize an object. If you want to create an object array object instance with initialized value, then you can actually use this brace notation. So basically what you're saying is that I'm creating array instance object whose item with the 5 items, and each of those items will be set with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is a way of initializing, well, actually instantiating and then initializing that array object. Okay, yeah, so this is actually more than the instantiation. So in our previous example, if you do just instantiation, then it just create the array object like this, but the value of these things are all set to 0. Okay, and that's set as a default as 0. But if you want to initialize the values, then you can use this notation. So in this case, it's basically creating array object of size of 5. So basically it will create new int 5, and then it might be in a loop for assigning each of those array object with these values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is basically a combination of array object instantiation plus initialization of those array values, array items, or array elements. Make sense? Okay, moving forward. Okay, so these are sample applications. So here we are we are basically creating array object and then initialize the values of those array objects. So here true, false, true, false. So there are 4 items in the array and they are set with these values. Okay, here we are creating array object of size 4, and each of those double type element will be set with 100, 90, 80, and 75. So here we are creating string array, and there are 7 elements, and each of those elements is initialized with 1, 2, with these values. Okay. Question from Carlos. In the sample, which one is the constructor? Okay, so yeah, so array is a special kind of class. Okay, so if you take a look at the array class, I mean it has sort of a special constructor in a sense. Okay, so you don't see constructor method in array like this. Typically constructor method we are thinking about is in the object type. I mean the class type. Okay, so yeah, for now you don't see the constructor method here. So that's probably a better way of saying it, even though it's there. Okay. And we're going to actually talk about the concept of constructor in detail later on. Okay, how we can access array element. So you can use index in order to access a particular element of that array. So here I'm assigning value 10 to the third element of the array. The value 2 means a third element because index start from 0. Okay, so this is assigning value 10 to third element of ages array. Here I'm accessing the last element. Age is the length, so in order to get the size of the array, you are accessing length property, and because index start from 0, you have to actually subtract 1 in order to access the last element of the array. Okay, so initialization of array elements. As I said before, you are going to use this is a creation of int array object instances, right? So you say new int array of size 10. Now for int type, each item will be initialized to 0 as a default. Okay, for string array, the value will be set with null as a default. Okay. Okay, array length. So we have seen example of how to get the length of an array. Basically, you are going to use a length field of array object. Okay. Okay, so here basically we have created int array of size 100. Okay, and then we are going to we are in a for loop displaying the contents of each item in that array. Okay, up to age is the length. Okay, and so far we have seen only single dimensional array, right? So you can certainly have a multi-dimensional array. So basically you are going to have arrays of arrays. Okay, so basically the way you can declare multi-dimensional arrays is having another bracket. So let's see an example of this. So here we are declaring declaring and the creating two-dimensional of array of 512 and 128 elements. So you can think of these rows and columns. Okay, so it will have 512 rows, and then it has the each row will have 128 columns, so to speak, and this is a three-dimensional array. Now in order to initialize this two-dimensional array, so you have 4 rows and 2 columns, right? So you have 4 rows, first row, second row, and third row, and the fourth row, and each row should have 2 columns, so each row should have 2 values. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, so in order to access element of multi-dimensional array, we are going to just use the 2 brackets. So this is, this is accessing first row and first column. Okay, so in this case we have initialized this dogs two-dimensional array, right? So if you want to access Terry, that should be dogs 0 and 0. Okay, this guy Brown is going to be 0 and 1, and this one is going to be 1 and 0. This one is 1 and 1, something like that. Okay, so that is exercise 1 and 2. So let's take a look at the lab documentation. Oh, okay, looks like that's pretty much are we done with that? Yeah, okay, so that's it. So exercise 1, we are creating Java array of int. So we create int array and we just display the values. Okay, so you can see it's displaying all 0, 0, 0, 0 things. So let's actually run my Java array project. And new Java working set, Java C. Let's import an existing named project and labs and Java C array, and my Java array project. So here we're gonna just run it. Yeah, so it displays the contents of those things. Okay, because the int type is initialized with the values of 0. Okay. All right, so that is so for your own exercise, modify Java array.java as following, and basically just before the for loop that prints out the value of each array of the ages array, and create another for loop in which value of 100 is assigned to the first entry of the array, and the next one is going to be, so ages 0 is going to be 100, it will be set with 100, and then the next item will be set with 101 and things like that. Okay, so that two-dimensional array here, we are it's basically we are just displaying the values. Okay, yeah, so this one you don't have to do your own exercise. And the greatest number, so we have a for loop, and we just basically compute the greatest number up to that point, and then we just display the values. So yeah, so for your own exercise, compute the smallest number. So this is my greatest number, is so run as Java application. Yeah, so my greatest, why is am I running the right thing? Oh, you know what? Yeah, looks like the code is misleading. Yeah, so yeah, my greatest number should have this code. Yeah, let me just correct it. And run as application. Okay. Oh, what is oh yeah, it's incorrect. My greatest number. So the class name and the package, the Java file name is mismatched, right? So I have to change this guy. Oops, not this one. Greatest. Okay, I'll run the application. Okay, so enter number until 3 numbers are entered. So 44, 55, and 77, something like that. Yeah, so it it actually figures out what is the greatest number. Okay, so basically we are just working with the number array. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, I'll actually fix that problem. And exercise 2, we are dealing with the string array. So we have a string array of days. So we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, blah blah blah. And so that's actually my days of the week project. Let's see, Java application. Yeah, it's just displayed things. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Pretty exciting. Okay, so display days of the week using while loop and do while loop, and using for loop. So you should have 4 different loop. Okay, and for your exercise, declare an initialize string array of the cities around you. Maybe you create a string array of 3 or 4 cities, and then display them using for loop. Okay, so that's your own exercise. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to try this exercise, and let's have a 10 minutes break as well. So we will be back in 20 minutes. So right now is 47, so let's get back to 7 minutes after the hour.